You're listening to Season 7 of the Angry Football Fans Podcast, where your hosts Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Novak rant about the putrid displays of their teams, grumble about the shenanigans in the NFL, and gripe about everything else in between. We also list our pet peeves and take listener questions. Download our podcast wherever you get yours, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a blast doing this, and hope you enjoy as well.
I'm nervous.
So we are live, the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet Fan podcast, our first live stream. So we may be working through a little bit of kinks here, so be patient with us. We don't have all of our backgrounds in order yet. We're not sure we have anything live in order yet, but guys, we're excited. Again, we're kicking off Season 7. We've had a lot of good start to the season in terms of getting a lot of energy with guests, and now we're going to... We're opening up a new forum with the live stream. So we are the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet Fan podcast. Your host, Scott. We got Giant Mike. We got Novak. Cardone is absent from the first live stream. He's missing history here.
Didn't he miss the first ever podcast we had, too? He missed the first ever Three Angry Giants Fans podcast, right? It was just you and I, Scott. So, yeah, there's some history.
I think it was,
here. Yeah.
I was looking back at those days when Scott held up a piece of paper in front of the camera. It was, we're live streaming now. Like, what is going on?
Hey, we are live. We got a note from Chai Pack Dad that said we're live. So this is good.
Nice.
I'm seeing it on YouTube on my phone. It looks like we are live, and it's very strange watching me on a live stream that I'm on.
So we're gonna muddle through this. We're probably gonna have some growing pains, but be patient with us. We're gonna get an intro going in future live streams. We do have a live show. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That's coming up on September 2nd. But before we get started, let's give a little bit of a shout out. So hello, Attleboro, Massachusetts, population 46,000. It was once known as the jewelry capital of the world. It was founded in 1634, so some of those northern cities a lot older than other cities, and it was still has 6 main companies of jewelry factories there, and it was the home of a name you guys probably aren't going to know, but I knew because my grandfather always had tapes of this guy, and I thought it was the most boring music ever, sort of like Lawrence Welk. It's the home of Ray Conniff.
I have heard of Ray Conniff.
Yeah, he's like a band leader, I think.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that.
No. Attleboro, Ray Conniff. We need Cardone here or something because I got nothing.
We got a question if Cardone is on PUP or not. I think he's only on a 1-week delay, so he's on a mini IR. I think the rules are changed in the preseason.
I don't know if anyone hates the preseason more than him, so this probably is fairly on brand.
That's fair. And I do think Cardone is physically able to perform, so yes. maybe not PUP. He's doing fine.
That might be a little too much information.
One of those things it's one of those things you start saying and then immediately see, why did I start this sentence?
Yeah.
So you know what I always found funny? So Novak, you're talking about, Ray Conniff. If you go back and look at the gap between like when my grandfather was listening to music and the band era, it's shorter than the gap between us and the 80s music.
Oh yeah.
That's wild.
I was just thinking of that the other day. They were playing some songs from like the early 2000s, and I remember thinking like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. But you remember back in the 80s, someone would play something from the 60s. You're like, that's decades ago. It's the same difference.
Yeah. Our equivalent to Ray Conniff is like Culture Club. That's our equivalent to that.
So a podcast in like 2080 is going to be like, who the fuck was Culture Club? From somewhere in England, apparently, if they get a listener there.
Culture Club. I heard him on the radio this morning. Good stuff.
So the Giants wrapped camp in West Virginia, so I think they're back at their normal facility now this week. From all accounts, Harbaugh is in charge. He's running a tough camp. I think this is good. We'll talk a little bit about bringing in a new coach and how the attitude needed to change, and it has. But the biggest thing we've heard so far is no major injuries. we're not going to break down exactly what everyone's doing, who's looking great, who's not looking great, because you're really not in anything but just drills at this point. But apparently they had some, great times in West Virginia. Fans that went thought it was, a pretty awesome venue to get out and get away a little bit from the hubbub of the city. So I like the way the Giants are mixing it up. So this week is officially the start of the preseason. We did have the Hall of Fame game last week, which I had to laugh because everyone was talking the next day about what an exciting finish, what a great game. And I'm thinking, guys, this is preseason, and at the end of the game, you had fourth stringers against fourth stringers going at it. But hey, it was football.
I literally heard. Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I was at a bar with a friend down in Hilton Head, and we were watching. It was just great to have football on again. I know it was preseason. It didn't mean anything. I didn't know half the players on the field, but something was like, yep, it's back, and it just felt great to have it on again.
Yeah, no doubt. I actually heard this week, which is like the most, I don't know, just a weird sentence I thought I'd never hear in my life. Somebody said, that was the best preseason game of all time. I was like, all right, have you seen a bunch of preseason games to compare that to? Like, I remember some Jets-Giants preseason games, but I was like, this is a good game, actually.
Yeah.
People, but yeah, the best preseason game of all time, right here.
How are you going to judge that? Come on. But okay. It was a good game. I'm not going to lie. It was an exciting ending. It was, yeah. Carson Beck played really well, and
yes, he did.
Yeah, I thought that was it. It was intriguing.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck might be fighting for the starting job there, possibly. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with the Cardinals, but
wouldn't surprise me one bit if we don't hear more from him this year.
So,
fair point.
Mike, any thoughts on camp so far? Only 1 week in.
Well, that would be hard for me to have because I would really have to have been paying any sort of attention at all to camp. So, no, I haven't. I don't have any real thoughts. I can give generic thoughts on camp. I don't know why we're paying attention to it, but it's a world we live in now with the NFL and all that. Everything's big. The draft is big, as we know. The picking of the schedule is big. All that stuff. So. Yeah, camp doesn't surprise me. We talked a little bit last week about hearing that, the quarterback stats for the day in camp. He was 8 of 16 with 2 picks and a touchdown in camp. Like, come on, man. Let's go.
So
not to be outdone by Justin Herbert and his girl and Joe Burrow and his girl. Dart's girlfriend was out at camp today, so, he's got to play the part.
All right. See, I can get behind that kind of camp news. That's good.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about camp in a question that we get a little bit later, because I think it's funny the way people are breaking down the first week of camp as if this is indicative of anything that's going to happen. And it's one of the things that, we don't necessarily do. We look forward to the preseason games. We preview those. We generally have a pretty light preseason schedule in terms of the podcast. There's some things we talk about. We mainly get to the questions and the pet peeves that take up the most time here. So, again, I think we've all said this. My biggest thing during the preseason is just no major injuries. I don't want to see a guy go down like Tunsil tore his triceps or biceps or whatever. He's done for the year, I think. So you get one of those, and that's the news you don't want to hear. Yeah. Anything on your side? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, up until the day live bullets start flying, that's the only bad news can come out of preseason or camp. You just want no news, right? The only news you ever get out of preseason or camp is that someone's down for a significant amount of time. So I'd rather hear nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Novak, anything from the Jets side?
Yeah, there's actually been a lot. There's been a lot going on. The most important thing that has come out of Jet Camp is that Bailey, the number 2 pick, looks like, by all accounts, he's the real deal. And I don't put a lot of stock into practices and all of that, but every player that I heard interviewed, every commentator, every press guy that covers the Jets was saying he just looks different. He's in on every play. He is dominating, a very good tackle, consistently. So I could not be more excited if that's the truth. So that's the biggest thing I got out of it. And then also the rookies are showing a lot. So Omar Cooper Jr. is playing apparently really well, is getting very involved. The wide receivers look great. A.D. Mitchell from the Colts apparently was blowing past anyone covering him because they had an inter-squad scrimmage or whatever with the Bucks this week, and he was blowing past his coverage, getting wide open. Of course, Geno was getting picked, but nonetheless, he was getting open at least. So, everything seems to be moving along. The offense is not as far along as the defense, which is a little surprising, but I think that has to do with the quarterback. It just goes to show, again, how important having a good quarterback, doesn't have to be great, it makes such a difference. And Klubnik apparently looks pretty good too. So we'll see. I'm excited for Friday night. We got the Bucks Friday night. There's been a lot of fighting at camp, that too gets overblown. But they'll finally get to, put the real uniforms on, the pads on, and get out there. I know it's preseason, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, friend of the show, I called him Chai Pack Dad earlier. He's Chi Pack Dad, as in Chihuahua, I think. Mm-hmm. That's the picture. He's asking people to hit the like button for us. So hit the like button if you're watching the stream. I like that. That's good. He also said the video and audio of this is coming across pretty well. So that's
far
awesome
so good.
Too.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you, Cheapack Dad. He's really promoting us. I appreciate that.
So Giants and Vikings this week, preseason game. A lot of news coming out of Vikings camp. So, in the offseason, we heard about how it was going to be an open competition between Kyler Murray and JJ, and Kyler's been named the week 1 starter already. So so much for competition purposes.
Yeah, it was open, but it closed very quickly.
And from what I've heard, too, this was not performance-based. This was apparently Justin Jefferson gave his stamp of approval for Murray back a couple months ago. And since then, Murray has not looked sharp in what I've heard from the Vikings beat writers, and JJ's looked okay. But regardless, it's interesting that they came out before the very first preseason game and made that call when they went out of their way to say that it was an open competition. That's the kind of stuff that loses. You lose reputation with your players. I think when you say that,
you lose a little bit of credibility there by claiming something to be open that was never really open. And of course, you have to say it's open, right? I mean, you can't sign a guy from another team and just say he's our starter now when you just drafted J.J. McCarthy. But I don't blame the Vikings for this. Listen, there's no bigger Michigan Wolverines fan in the world. I love J.J. McCarthy. It has a special place in my heart always as the quarterback of that championship team. But you guys know, back then I was saying on the podcast that he's just not a pro quarterback. We'll see. I mean, he's proven everybody wrong all the time, and I'd like to be one of them, except he plays for the Vikings. I don't want to see the Vikings be very good, but outside of that.
I think this was an example of that. Look, they fired the GM, I think. I'm pretty sure that happened. They fired the guy that, decided to go with McCarthy over Darnold and watch Darnold win a Super Bowl, and they're naming Kyler Murray the starter before they've even taken one snap of the preseason. This screams we've got to get ourselves distanced from this J.J. McCarthy disaster and get the hell out as soon as we possibly can. This guy is going to play in the preseason, and he is going to be traded, guaranteed. They don't want any of this. They want to move on from this guy. And I don't blame him with that stupid 9 and the dumbass eye black, and he's just a whack job, this guy. And I'm a Michigan fan too, and Mike was right. I think I said it too. I didn't see him being a pro quarterback. Definitely not a first rounder. I mean, maybe third, fourth round as a backup, career backup or something, but not as a franchise guy.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought up the possibility of him being traded, because I honestly, out of these two quarterbacks, it's one scenario. I don't see there being a lot of love from JJ to stay on this roster if Murray's the starter.
No.
It's one of those things where I think that's going to be a lot of friction quickly.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson coming out and giving his approval to Kyler Murray before he's taken a snap for the franchise, and that's, if you even like JJ, you just don't do that. So, pretty damning statement.
Yeah. No, he's done there.
outside of not seeing any injuries, about the only thing I'm really looking forward to in this game is to see how some of the second stringers actually look, and some of the possible third stringers that could make the team. So, Evan Neal's still been working with the number threes. I think his time as a Giant is coming to an end. But another guy who's been on the hot seat, Deonte Banks, apparently looks pretty good in camp, and he's been working with the ones at times. So it'll be interesting because the Giants have a problem at cornerback right now. If Banks is playing well, by all other accounts, Paulson Adebo is playing poorly, and he's been demoted to the second team at least for some of the drills. So a unit that was weak going into the season has apparently been weaker, and if the pass rush doesn't get home, guys, this could be a long, long year for the Giants. Of course, we're saying this before the bullets start flying. They might all look good. They might be sandbagging. You never know what a guy's mentality is in the preseason.
One of the Giants' former secondary guys is actually starring for the Jets right now. He's had a great camp, and they think he's going to actually get the starting job, which is Dane Belton.
Dane Belton was. I always liked Belton.
Yeah, I did too. Good player. Yeah, Dane Belton's good. I didn't realize he was on the Jets. Mm-hmm. Good for you guys. He's a good player. He's one of those guys who always finds his way to the ball somehow. He'll get an interception this year.
That'd be nice. But no, he's been outplaying the two other corners, and he might start aside Minka Fitzpatrick. So we'll see.
Yeah, pretty good in run support too.
Oh, it's good to know.
Just always where the ball is. That guy.
The one guy who you usually can tell things about in the preseason are the special team guys, like the kickers and the punters, and the leg from Michigan is apparently doing really well for the Giants. He was 12 for 12 in the last practice, was banging in 60-yarders. So maybe we have a guy that will actually hit a 63-yarder at the buzzer to beat a team instead of against us.
I was just talking about this. Why can't we get this kicking thing straight? And how did you hear the story of Brandon Aubrey with Dallas, right? Basically just decided one day he's going to be a kicker, hires a coach, and then he ends up on Dallas, nailing 68-yarders all the time. It's like, where's our guy that can do that? So we'll see. We'll see. But he's a great kicker at Michigan, and I have high hopes for him. Did I hear something about a 70-yarder? Not like just in practice, not against the team or anything.
I heard unofficially that if he kicked a 70-yarder, I think they were just fooling around. He didn't. But what one of the beat guys said is that it didn't look like, how you hit a line drive kick like some of these guys do. It looked like a normal kick with a high arc and everything else. It's still at 70 yards.
I mean, it seems so simple. Just we've been like a decade and a half without any kind of stable kicking game. And it's cost us games. How do you let that happen? I don't get it.
Was it last year that you had like Gano went down like twice right before the kickoff or something?
No, that was actually 2 years ago.
Was that 2 years ago?
Last year he got injured again, and then last year was the comical coup kick into the turf that we all talked about.
And then Koo, the next one that he kicked it so far left. I think it went into that little tunnel at the side of the end zone. It was so bad.
The one right over your left shoulder. Right
yeah, the one right over here. You can see whatever I'm pointing to. Yeah.
So Jets play the Buccaneers this week. So I see that they're, as teams do now, they practice with the team a lot of times before they play them in preseason. So the Jets and Bucs have been practicing. Anything on your mind, Novak, from that game?
I want to see Cade Klubnik. That's honestly all I really care about. I don't want any starters playing. I really don't. I don't have any interest. I would like to see a little bit of the safety competition between Malachi Moore and Dane Belton and one other guy that his name is going to escape me at the moment, but I know that is a big one opposite Minka Fitzpatrick. So I'm kind of excited for that. Oh, Andre Sisco is the other one. So that I'd like to see some depth for our offensive line. So I will be watching for that because I don't want any of our five starters playing. We've got a couple of iffy kind of guys on the roster, and so I want to see what happens there. I think that's the one area that the Jets are going to pick people up once they can start getting cut from other teams is offensive line. We've got a great starting five, but our depth is weak at best. But other than that, no, I really don't care. I just want to see if Klubnik has anything. I don't think he's any good, but I was unhappy with the draft pick, but I would love to be wrong about it.
I had said at the time, having followed Klubnik and Clemson, I think Klubnik is one of those quarterbacks that could do well in the pros as opposed to the college game, because his offense was a little bit different in college, and he's got the tools. He's just got to be able to put the tools together. I mean, a lot of times you'll see these guys that don't have the tools, they're not going to make it, but he's got the arm strength. He can make the throws. He just needs to be able to have a little bit more confidence, I think. He's never really had that I'm the guy confidence that's lasted for a while.
I watched a little bit of the Clemson games last year, and the only thing I do remember is, and Scott, you watched a lot of Clemson, so maybe I'm wrong. I kind of remember thinking, like, this offensive line sucks, because there were people in on him in not even seconds, just almost at the snap of the ball, from what I remember. And then he was kind of like doing a lot of dancing back there and running around, trying to find open receivers, and he was getting picked on occasion. But he can move too. I mean, he can run, so that's a positive.
Yeah. So we did have a question come in if we have a punter. So our punter is actually Jordan Stout, who came from Baltimore. So I think Harbaugh brought the Giants punter over along with some of the other players that they did. So looking forward to it. Stout's been a competent top tier punter. So I think our kicking game right now seems to be pretty well in fold. I mean, again, Zaveda's a rookie, so you never know what's going to happen there. But again, I think we have two competent guys there. Gano was competent. Gano just couldn't stay healthy the last couple of years. I mean, when Gano played, Gano was about as consistent as one could be.
I'm just going to miss you guys, and especially Cardone, making fun of the Scottish Hammer.
Oh my God!
I'm kind of disappointed about that. I enjoyed him getting fired up about the Scottish Hammer.
Oh my God!
You know what the Scottish
Hammer?
Hammer
A nickname like that and be a shitty punter. You can't. You just can't do that. That's not.
You can't. You're
come
right.
on.
That's like it's like calling a fat guy skinny, right?
Yeah.
The worst thing about the Scottish Hammer is that for years now, the Giants just have not had good punters. I mean, I'm trying to go back to the best punter that they've had in the last 20 years. I can't think of one. I mean, you have to go all the way back to Fiegels, I think, that I actually liked the punter.
Yeah, it's the epidemic of the kicking game for the Giants. It's an embarrassment, and it's stupid, and it goes into punting too. I mean, I don't know how every year we have the worst kicking and punting game in the league. I don't understand it, especially coming from people who grew up with Bill Parcells and the attention he paid to that part of the game, that we now just forget about it and like just sign whoever's available, before the season starts. It's crazy. It's wild. I mean, Parcells has books of stories about how valuable a good punter is. And for us as a team to have forgotten all that is, thanks, Cheapak. I'm trying to not look so blue. I think it's my Blu-ray glasses are like reflecting. I'm going to lean more forward.
Maybe we're going to start getting complexes about with these live comments, aren't we?
I know.
Before we were just like, we can only see each other. What the hell do we care?
Yeah, we don't care if I'm a little blue. But yeah,
care if the host is passing out.
What do we care? Just wake them up. Let's keep going. Yeah, hopefully, I mean, this looks like on paper right now we have the best overall kicking game we've thrown out on the field in more than a decade. So, not that Gano was bad, as Scott mentioned. Gano was fine when he was healthy, and but he just couldn't be healthy. We caught him at the end of his career after he broke our hearts in Carolina with a 63-yard buzzer beater. But let's just not. Football is better when you're not thinking about your kicking game.
It's so true.
Poor Cardone is hiding behind posts. That's how tragic it is for him to try to watch this. He can't watch a kick.
I have to laugh though because the Scottish Hammer was obviously Scottish. Gano, I believe, was Scottish. And we had another Scottish kicker on the Giants before. Do you remember who that is?
Yeah, that's Lawrence Tynes, right?
Lawrence Tynes was Scottish.
Yeah, he was.
Maybe let's just do away with. Yeah, he's Scottish.
Yeah, let's break the Scottish punting connection, the Scottish kicking connection, I should say.
And I actually like Tynes. Tynes
I
is
love
a good
Tynes.
kicker.
Tynes is still, if you go on Twitter, X, whatever they call it now.
Oh, he's a huge Giant fan,
he's a
too.
big Giants guy, yeah. He's all over the place. He's getting it up in people's butt when they get on the Giants a little bit. I love it.
So going around the league, I don't have a whole lot to talk about. I saw where, Mahomes is back practicing, and they're acting like Mahomes is in, regular season form already. He's ready to dominate again. I think that's sort of funny. And I'm still interested in seeing some of these quarterback battles that are going on, especially in Atlanta, where I think Tua is going to get the job. We know what's happening in Minnesota. Cleveland still seems like it's up in the air, and I think it's funny because they keep interviewing Sanders, and to his credit, Sanders is saying the right things, talking about competing with Deshaun Watson, and it'll be funny to see the first time Deshaun Watson struggles what happens.
I was wanting to go into that Cleveland battle. I don't think there's anything more fascinating right now in the league than Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders. I mean, are you kidding me? This is what this clown organization has to decide between? I mean, don't they have like 3 others too on the roster? Like Gabriel, and they drafted someone this year.
Had that when you had that gut feel. Like, who's the only team in this league who really can't use a decade of bad karma, right? Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I really think they're being eaten alive by the football gods for what they did to Baker Mayfield. And
yeah, that's true.
I mean, imagine them having Baker Mayfield right now. They would seem like they would be very happy. Even if he wasn't great, at least it's solid. At least it's, it's not in flux all the time. And,
you'd probably still have Myles Garrett too.
Yep. I mean, this guy coming to Cleveland, first of all, he had choices where he could have gone, I assume, but he comes to Cleveland. He turns them totally relevant again. And then for some reason they get it in their head. Well, I know why, and I don't think they're wrong about this. They didn't feel like he was a closer. They didn't feel like he was the guy to win a Super Bowl for them. But they thought Deshaun Watson was. So I don't know what to do with the Browns. I'm wearing my Brown sweatshirt in honor of the Browns tonight.
I mean, it's so funny you say that, Mike. You're right. Like, think about that. They had a guy that actually won a playoff game for that shit organization. The only one that I can say is worse than the Jets is the Browns. He wins a playoff game against a rival, right? Didn't their coach have COVID or something too, and they won the game? Like, or something like that? Like, it was something wild. And they choose Deshaun Watson and pay him an incredible amount of guaranteed money on top of it and let Baker Mayfield walk.
And that was
fools.
That was after the Deshaun Watson troubles, right? I mean, they signed him after
that. Because that's why he left Houston. Yeah. He left Houston because of that.
And I think they gave a bunch of draft picks too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens there because that's just, to me, that's a fascinating situation going on. That, and of course what we got going on in Pittsburgh with the dick, and we still haven't seen the wife. So I'm just saying. I'm gonna try to crowbar that in every friggin' week until we see this woman. I swear to God, I can't. It's driving me out of my mind.
So in this week's version of the player that I didn't know had switched teams, it's David Montgomery. He's now the starting running back for the Houston Texans. So I gotta get used to all this with people changing places.
I usually figure it out the night before my first fantasy football draft is when I.
David Montgomery's on the Texans?
I believe he's on the Texans now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Is he related to Wilbert?
I don't think he is.
Okay.
Yeah, Wilbert Montgomery. He actually was one of the Eagles I actually liked back then. I liked him.
Back in the day.
Him and Harold Carmichael both. I have nothing bad to say.
Yeah.
No, how could you?
I always was terrified that they'd give Montgomery the ball back then, and they just really painfully underused him. I thought the whole time he was an Eagle. Yeah. I felt about him the way I was feeling recently about Tony Pollard. Like, I don't want to see Tony Pollard in the game. Let's get more Zeke. I'm fine with that.
If you remember back to the NFC East when the Cardinals were in there, you had the Cardinals, the Eagles, and the Redskins. All of them had fantastic running backs at one point. You know, the one that would kill us every now and then was Terry Metcalf for the Cardinals. You know, and then Washington had Riggins, and before him they had Joe Washington. They just always seemed to have good running backs on those teams, you know. And then even the Eagles, I look back, and this is a little bit later in time, but Keith Byers, guys like that, you know. And I think Byers became a Giant and did nothing.
Yeah. The end of the career Giants. Just do nothing. The Herschel Walker era in New York.
Was O.J. Anderson on the Cardinals before the
He
Giants?
was. He
right?
was. Yeah. O.J. Anderson's another one, you know, and then he revived his career with the Giants. But O.J. Anderson's another one of those guys, and I'm going to talk about the Hall of Fame in a little bit here on my pet peeve, but a guy that at the time of his retirement was one of the top running backs ever. And you know, you don't hear anything about pushing for him to be in the Hall. And you know, I mean, you got Roger Craig that just went in, which I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But you guys got anything else from around the league that you've seen, heard, interest?
I mean, I've already outed myself. I don't even know about my own team. What the hell do I know? What's going on with the Cincinnati Bengals? I don't know.
Are the Bengals playing their starters this week?
Yeah, I hope so.
Another hour on the pod, you might be asking that question.
Hey, it's preseason. I might have to let the live streamers know what's going on with the Bengals personnel. So
yeah, I'm sure that's why they're tuning in. I'm sure they're curious if the Bengals are playing their starters.
So we do have a live show Wednesday, September 2nd at Carolina Beer Temple in Matthews, North Carolina. It's our third year in a row doing it. We're going to be giving out some swag. We're going to be doing trivia, and we're opening up for a band, Donkey.
Yes.
So 70s,
80s, 90s rock. It's like right in the wheelhouse of probably the big demographic of the Three Angry Giants and Jeff Fan podcast listeners, if I'm being honest.
So, wait a minute there. You said something there, Scott, that confused me. We're opening for them? How did that happen?
We're opening for them. Like I said, we were the headliners last year.
Shouldn't they be opening for us? Isn't that the way that's...
So here's how it's being positioned. It is football kickoff. We are the headliners, and they are the celebratory band, like on a Saturday Night Live episode. You know, it's our podcast with musical guests, Donkey, like you know how they do in the commercials.
So is one of us going to have to step out afterwards and go, ladies and gentlemen, Donkey?
Yes, that's it. Donkey.
Donkey.
I want to look over and see Paul. Do I look over and see Paul Schaefer standing there? Or... So, Giant Mike, pet peeves tonight?
Yeah, I have a pet peeve. An old familiar target, new pet peeve. The WNBA's been in the news a little bit lately, and some things have come up. And one thing I knew it was my pet peeve right away when I saw it. I don't know if it was an article or a Twitter post or whatever, but some sports writer, I think, and it's a sports writer covering the WNBA, so probably not a very good one and probably on their way out the door. But they actually raised the comment that ESPN is right now showing Little League Baseball instead of WNBA pregame. And they said, that tells me everything I need to know about ESPN. And I said, I was like, what the hell? You mean the ESPN that absolutely subsidizes this league? You mean the ESPN where this league wouldn't exist if there was no ESPN? Is that the ESPN you're disparaging right now? For, by the way, showing one of their highest rated things of the year, the Little League World Series and the lead up to all that. Yep. One of ESPN's year after year, it's one of the highest rated things they do. So yeah, they're going to cram their schedule with that. Versus literally the thing they lose dollars as it's running every second it's running, which WNBA. So it really gets under my skin. And then all the stuff with what's her name, Sophie Cunningham's that her name, and Caitlin Clark, and how everyone in the league is against them. The other players, the officials, their coaches, their own coach seems like she's against them.
Their own coach, they got fired today, I believe.
Oh,
the Fever coach got fired today?
I believe she did.
I think that might have been a scam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw that too.
I saw something from Dave Portnoy, so I wasn't positive, but yeah. Regardless,
Yeah.
she's under fire. But
yeah, so and literally the WNBA ratings right now are only abysmal. They're just abysmal right now, and that's not even near the lowest they've ever been. They've been tragic. They've been non-existent. Caitlin Clark is the reason they're abysmal. This whole league is just like set up to eat itself. And between the regular NBA and ESPN, they just won't let it. Just back away. Just stop giving them the money. Just stop covering it like it's a thing, and it would disappear overnight. It would be gone. So and not that that's a good thing. Like I'm sure there's fans of that sport. I'm sure it's fun to watch if you like bad basketball. But it's I had to throw that. God, if you like that kind of thing, but it can't survive on its own. That's what this is supposed to be. That I can't even believe we live in a world where, out of the goodness of their heart, we have major sports networks showing something that every time it's on their air, they're losing fistfuls of money. But they do it out of, I don't know, the goodness of their heart, a little bit of wokeness, probably, who knows. But yeah, that's my pet peeve. It's not the WNBA itself at this point. As long as they're allowed to exist, they should exist. It's these people who now not only are, fans of it and trying to pump it up and trying to be a part of it, but now they're like actively attacking the networks and the other leagues who don't, who support it, it's the only reason they're there. And I won't even I held my tongue all year last year when they were having their little strike. Yeah, go on strike. That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. Just go ahead and do that. Like anyone would notice. So that's my pet peeve is the coverage and the animosity coming out of the WNBA these days.
Well, I have a good stat for you on this. So, ESPN's been showing the women's Little League, which is basically girls softball at the Little League level.
Yeah.
And those ratings are outdoing the WNBA.
Yeah, of course. I'd watch that.
It's not just boys' Little League. It's girls' Little League that's outpacing the WNBA. And to me, there's no worse run organization in sports than the WNBA. It's only existing because the NBA subsidizes it. It's only existing because ESPN is giving it airtime, like you mentioned, Mike. And then I heard just the other day that the WNBA is actually forming a task force now to actually define what a woman is.
Oh, I didn't even get into that part of it.
Well, yeah. You're doing this because there are two former NBA players that are now challenging the WNBA and saying that they identify as women and they want to play in the league. Yeah. And I think it's funny because, we've gone now from, if you say you're a woman, to, wait, you can't say you're a woman. This doesn't exist. You can't tell me you're a woman. Yeah. You're a man.
Because you're serious. Because you're not serious about it. That's you're right. Who's to say who's serious about it? Like I kind of agree. They're not serious about it. They're trying to prove a point, but they're proving a really good point.
Well, we can tell that we are really hurting for content because you know what my pet peeve was going to be? The WNBA. So 2 out of the 3, we're gonna go to the WNBA for a pet peeve. I'm not going to – I'll go to a different one, Scott, but I want to weigh in on this because it was my pet peeve. My thing was with that stupid ass league, which is – I agree with Scott. It's the worst run organization in all of sports, in the history of sports. You actually have, for the first time in how many years? 30 years it's been around or something?
Yeah.
You actually have a marketable person that is getting some level of interest across the country. Household name. Everyone knows who she is. And you don't put her on every single week, protect her until all the other players and the rest of the league just shut your mouth and let her cook. Because that is how this organization might actually turn a profit for the first time ever. And you fools are doing exact opposite of what you should be doing.
Yep.
It's just wild to me.
No, it's. I think even FIFA's run better, and I think there are things coming out of FIFA where the head guy was like doing something to curry favor with a young girl. It's like, what's going on here? By the way, Cheapak is asking a question about who are our guys' favorite sports reporters. Let's table that because we have a question coming up in the question segment that
I love that.
We'll touch upon that. So keep that in mind. Novak, your other pet peeve.
I'm going to go with my backup, which I was trying to formulate as Mike was talking. So if I repeated something Mike was talking about, it's because I wasn't really paying attention to what Mike was saying.
I'm glad I went first. I would have been I didn't even have a backup.
So I didn't either. I was thinking as you were talking, like, shit, what am I going to talk about? So luckily I did have a couple of examples in sports, tangentially related to sports that happen, like real sports, that happened that makes me just question people in general. Did you see this scummer, this guy that like said he hit a hole-in-one at a golf tournament, and before the round he ran onto the course and dropped the ball in the hole, and then he told his playing partners that he had to take a golf from his dying grandmother. He went up to the par 3. They came over and said, "What did you do? How'd you hit it?" He goes, "Oh, I think I sculled it." And they went up. They couldn't find the ball. And some guy looked in the hole and goes, found it. And the guy won 10 grand.
Oh.
And so here's the thing. So when they get back to check it out, they asked the people, they're like, did anyone see him? And they're like, no. And they go, oh, well, good thing we have recordings, video cameras. And they caught him before the round started dropping the ball in the hole. So
that's awesome.
First of all, what a scumbag. And then the second one is this Little League. Did you hear about this?
The Tulsa team? Yeah.
They didn't lie about the actual player. They lied about the player's brother who has special needs, and it was a loophole to get an older kid into the game. How kind of scum do you have to be to pull that kind of crap? I mean, I feel bad for the other players, but what is wrong with people in this world? I mean, come on. So I don't know. Those two stories, I was like, I was just angry about that. And then the WNBA trumped it and Mike took it. So that was my backup.
That was a good one too, though.
You know what should just be a public service announcement to everyone? There are cameras everywhere.
Everywhere. Absolutely.
No doubt.
And you could even have cameras that are recording just vehicle movement that police officers now are stealing to give to track like ex-girlfriends or things like that. It's like it's been in the news in Charlotte lately.
But you know what I got to say about that? There are cameras everywhere. There are photographers everywhere. Still haven't seen Rogers live.
That's a great point, man. It's a great point.
I'm going to, like I said, sorry, I'm going to warn you now. I'm crowbarring it in every single week somehow, even if it's at the last second of the pod when Scott goes, anything else? I might say, still haven't seen her.
So my pet peeve actually has to do with the Hall of Fame. So, we did the Hall of Fame induction, and I think I talk about this every year in some sort. But it really bothers me when the narrative for certain players is one thing and other players it's another thing. Luke Kuechly, short career, but he was so dominant in that career. Tiki Barber, short career, can't make the Hall of Fame. Don Mattingly, for years, talked about how he had such a short career. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Andrew Jones is going into the Hall of Fame. Andrew Jones played 2 seasons more than Mattingly, and if you look at the at-bats, actually, I think Andrew Jones played 17 seasons, Mattingly played 14. If you look at the at-bats, Mattingly has 500 fewer at-bats than Andrew Jones. That's 1 season worth. So you're telling me in that 1 season, Don Mattingly, by the way, has more career hits than Andrew Jones, even though he played fewer seasons. He also has 9 gold gloves. Andrew Jones has 10. So I'm not sure what criteria Andrew Jones is getting in on because he's got a batting average that's .254, which is like 70 points lower than Don Mattingly's. So for me, it's about baseball in this particular pet peeve, but it also carries over to football because Luke Kuechly getting into the Hall, I don't mind. Guy seems like a nice guy, he was a good player, but why is Tiki Barber looked at as not having a very long career? He played longer than Terrell Davis, who supposedly was okay to make the Hall of Fame. So to me, Tiki Barber just gets sort of shit on. I don't know if it's the New York bias, but I'm seeing it creep in now with Eli. Next year's class is loaded. And they're already like talking about Ben Roethlisberger probably not getting in the first time because there's like 5 other guys in front of him. So when is Eli going to get in?
I don't understand I think with the Hall of Fame in every sport, there is clearly a New York bias. Because, Mattingly, why is Keith Hernandez not in the Hall of Fame?
Keith Hernandez is a good one.
Explain that to me. The greatest defensive first baseman of all time. And I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm a Mets fan, but he was. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Mattingly should be on the Hall of Fame. Eli should be in the Hall of Fame. Joe Klecko took 30 years to get in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make any sense to me. And what, Billy Wagner is in the Hall of Fame? You get out of your fucking mind. How is Billy Wagner in the Hall of Fame and Don Mattingly, Keith Hernandez are not?
Adam Vinatieri's in the Hall of Fame now.
Oh, did you hear that speech? How terrible that was? We are 10 times funnier than that clown. He tried to be funny out there. He was so stupid.
Yeah, got out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. No, I don't understand it either, Scott. It makes no sense to me. And I will be fascinated to see if Eli gets in before Roethlisberger, because did Roethlisberger win 2?
Roethlisberger won 2 also, I believe. He won the one against the Cardinals.
He won as a rookie.
I think he won against the Seahawks and won against the Cardinals.
And he didn't play well against the Seahawks, but he did win that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he played well against the Cardinals. He did win 2. You're right. So, I don't know.
I'll be a little controversial here on Tiki. I love Tiki. I don't like the way his career ended with the Giants, all that. I don't see Tiki Barber as a Hall of Famer. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know he's got numbers that are borderline up there and pretty darn good. And I don't know. I don't see Tiki. Now, Eli, to me, come on.
Get out it right.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I've said this before on the pod. I don't know if we have any new listeners or live streamers tonight, but one of the definitions I heard one time, and this is before Eli was even up for it, one of the definitions I heard somebody say about, if it comes down to this or that, if it's borderline, ask yourself the question, can you write the history of the sport without mentioning this person's name? And if the answer is no, then they belong in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how you write a history of the NFL without mentioning Eli Manning's name.
Oh, that's true.
So
way to look at that.
if you apply that, then, if you're going to, I mean, I know that's not the written definition, so I know that's not official or anything, but I think it's a pretty darn good way to look at it, and a pretty darn good, especially like a tiebreaker where you're like,
Well, then with that logic, it actually does make sense for Vinatieri to get in, because if someone's going to say who's the greatest kicker of all time, he's in the list, right? I mean, he's probably the top 2 or 3 that has ever played.
I get the Vinatieri being in the Hall of Fame thing. I do.
I get it. I have no complaint.
But it's it was a weird class this year because you had those guys. You also had Roger Craig, who has been on the fringe forever, and Roger Craig's another one of those guys. Great player that I remember. If you're calling him a Hall of Famer and you're not calling Tiki Hall of Famer, it's tough for me to justify that. Because
against a player like that, you're 100% right.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when Luke Kuechly goes in the same year, and you're like, well, this guy very good at his peak, but his peak was 4 years time. It's tough because that usually dings people. That's what's always bothered me about Mattingly. It's not like Mattingly played like 5 seasons and got injured and was out. He's not Gale Sayers, who by the way is in the Hall of Fame. But Mattingly played for 14 seasons. That's a long time. I don't care who you are. Tiki played. I believe Tiki played 9 seasons. That's not short for a running back.
No, Cheepak, Dad is making some great points here on the chat. I mean, he's right. Tiki Barber carried the Giants for that last, obviously in the era before Eli arrived. They would have been garbage without Tiki Barber, and they were kind of garbage. But he was the only. Once he solved that fumbling thing, he was lights out right at the end of his career. I remember a game on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve against the Raiders.
The Raiders.
He went for like 212 in that game with 4 touchdowns or something. I get it. I love Tiki.
It's an interesting debate because when you really think about it, it's on his own merit. Do I think Tiki's a Hall of Famer? Maybe not. I kind of agree with you, Mike. However, if the bar is set so low that guys like, and he was a good player, he wasn't a Hall of Famer, Roger Craig is getting in, then Tiki should be in. So it's like, where do you put the bar of what is acceptable to get in and what's not? It's like on his own, no, but when you look at some of the other players that have gotten in, he then, because of that, deserves to be in. So it's a weird sort of debate because there's so many different ways to look at it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I don't know how many running backs are in the NFL Hall of Fame, but I know this. If I'm starting a team from scratch today and my choices for running back are prime Tiki Barber or prime Roger Craig, you can stop asking that question halfway through. It's Tiki Barber.
100%.
There's no question.
Yes.
Roger Craig's biggest attribute as a running back was what a great blocker he is. Remember that? Everyone, oh my gosh, what a 2.8 yards per carry. But man, he can pick up a blitz, that guy.
Well, they had what, Montana and Rice and Taylor, and so like, oh shit, they're running the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it was
the Thurman Thomas argument.
Kind of, yeah.
What? By the way, isn't Rondé Barber into the Hall of Fame?
He is.
Yeah. So Tiki's brother's in there. So that's just my pet peeve. I didn't even touch what I normally talk about, and that's Barry Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame and things like that. But it's one of those things where the criteria, to me, it's almost like when you look at Big Papi versus some of these other guys. He's in the Hall of Fame. Other guys aren't because he's likable.
Well, he technically didn't get caught.
And
we all know he was, but Jeff Bagwell technically never got caught, right? I mean, there's guys that just didn't for whatever reason. How they were able to get through without getting caught, I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, I think that's just going to discard them. So Clemens and Bonds and Rafael Palmeiro and all these other guys, they got caught.
Yeah.
How didn't Papi get caught? That's wild.
I mean, his head was, good God, it blew up 10 sizes too big.
Bonds was clearly the most obvious.
Oh,
but
yeah. And
Papi,
McGuire.
yeah.
Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa, ridiculous. If you looked at them 5 years prior to when they were at their peak, they were like blown up balloons, these guys. It was ridiculous.
But my penis is probably bigger than Bonds's. So we got plenty of questions tonight. The first one.
Good segue.
I thought you were going to say Bonds could play in the WNBA. I don't know where you were going with that.
That's a professional at work right there.
So we got one from Rico S. So I don't know if that's
Rico
Uncle
Suave.
I don't know if that's Uncle Rico or Rico Suave. It's Rico S. He asks, what other Giant podcast do we recommend? Who is the best Giants and Jets beat writer? And what is Scott drinking tonight? So similar to what G-Dad asked, who are our favorite sports reporters? I am, by the way, right now I'm drinking a Cosmic IPA. I usually drink hazy IPAs or IPAs of some sort, but that's what I'm drinking tonight. Guys, on the topic of podcasts to recommend from a Giant standpoint, it's tough because, I have a commute now into Charlotte in the morning, and it can be lengthy coming home, and so I try to listen to podcasts on the ride. I try to listen to podcasts if I'm working out or walking, and for me, there's not a single Giant podcast that stands out in terms of listenability because it's tough. We've talked about this before. They get into the weeds on a lot of things. What I normally do is look at the topic and see if I want to listen to it. So there was one earlier today from Giants Huddle. It talked about Peter Schlegel and McCarty being on McCourty talking about Giants practice. It was a 5-minute podcast. And I'm like, well, why even have this on? It's literally 5 minutes of my time just having them talk about one thing about John Harbaugh's running a tough camp. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? But there was a very good podcast on, I believe it's Giant Insider this week with Bobby Johnson. And Bobby Johnson, the former Giants receiver, the 4th and 17, epic back in the Giants Super Bowl run. He was down on his luck for years. He had addiction problems. He lost his Super Bowl ring. The Giants rallied to help him get his Super Bowl ring back. He's 64 years old now. He's clean. And it was just a great listen to Bobby Johnson just joking with these guys. By the way, he's a huge Giant fan. Like, he's going on about what the Giants need to do, what Dart needs to do, how he thinks the Giants are going to be. So for me, that's a podcast I like listening to, and it's interesting because I don't like a lot of interview podcasts. Interview podcasts to me a lot of times aren't great, but that's particularly one of those that I did like. So it's, for me, there's not a podcast that I would recommend a lot because to me they just get into the weeds. I was listening to the discussion of the camp this past week, and it was all ad nauseum about who's doing well, who's not looking good, who's looking good, who's going to do this. They did a scale of 1 to 10, your confidence level on Jackson Dart progressing. I'm like, come on, guys, it's week 1 in a practice. I don't want to fill time like that as a podcast. I know you guys don't, because you guys like to joke around. Cardone likes to joke around and things like that. It's just, so I don't really have one to recommend.
I have a Giant one that I like.
What's that?
It's called One Giant Step, and it's with Sean Marash, who was on.
Sean Marash, yeah.
On WFAN, who I love the Evan and Tiki show, and he's on that show as well. And I've listened to him a few times. I think he's actually really good. He's funny, and he doesn't take it as seriously either, so I think he's pretty good.
Got one of my neighbors listening, J-Dub 0403. Nice. So glad to see him in the chat. Best Giants beat writer for me is Dan Duggan, and it's not close on any other one. Pat Leonard, to me, I will go off on Pat Leonard and Jordan Renan quite a bit because these guys, I honestly, you talk about beat writing, you talk about journalism, and what a shitty downturn for that profession. We went from writing about like sports topics to now just trying to generate the most clicks. And I think that's part of the problem. Pat Leonard's been a shithell if he's covering the Rangers, if he's covering any New York team, especially the Giants. They just want to drum up controversy. I don't want to hear that as a fan. I want the truth from a beat writer. I don't want their perception on what's happening. And the Giants and Jets both have been terrible for so long that it's easy pickings to just go after people.
Yeah. I agree with Doug, and I agree with you that I don't think it's close. I don't mind Art Stapleton. The rest of that group, I couldn't agree with you more on, Scott. And I'll even throw in what's his name, Bacciano, whatever his name is, Ralph. I know he's not a Giants.
Vecchiano.
Yeah. He's not strictly a Giants beat writer. He covers the NFC East, I believe, but. That guy is just such a turd on the social media and on Twitter and whatever. Just like Scott said, just throwing a fishing hook out for clicks. He will, because he covers the NFC East, like when the Giants are playing the Cowboys or something and the Cowboys are winning early, he'll get on and Cowboys this, Cowboys that. And everyone's like, oh, the game's not over, dude. And as they come back, he will like switch sides during the game. He's just creepy to me. I don't like that guy. But yeah, it's Duggan is the answer, and Art Stapleton sometimes makes me chuckle. I don't mind him that much.
For me, there's not as many Jet beat writers. I mean, the famous one that he goes back 37 years. I think he's been the beat writer, Rich Cimini, who's also the Jets ESPN guy. He's good, but he also shits all over the Jets every single chance he gets. And so I'm kind of tired of his like beating them down all the time. But my favorite one is who also does the Giants is Connor Hughes, on SNY. He's really good and he is very unbiased and he feels like he somehow gets a lot of inside scoop and he's very well spoken. I love his tweets. So he's my favorite both for the Giants and Jets, but definitely for the Jets.
Yeah. And Cheapack Dad asked earlier what our favorite sports reporters are. The one guy I like is I still will always defer to him is Garofalo. I think he's one of the better writers out there. Outside of him, I mean it's been years. I would say before him it was probably Mitch Albom, but I don't really. From a national standpoint, I don't really know who all the beats are around. I wouldn't know if they're good or not. Put it that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead, Scott.
Nationally, I still like Adam Schefter, personally. I like him. He's good. And Cimini's also a reporter for ESPN beyond just being a beat writer, so I would throw him in there as well.
Rossini?
No, not Rossini. Cimini.
No, I'm just kidding.
If he was, that would be quite a scandal if he was having an affair with Vrabel. That'd be great. Maybe he's Rodgers' wife.
Yeah. Could be anybody at this point. And then after we see Rodgers' wife for the first time, Novak's gonna be like, "But have you seen she, and Rodgers in the same place at the same time?" That's
there you go.
Gonna be the next one.
It's gonna be AI generated.
Be Aaron Rodgers with a wig.
So we have listener Johnny asks, what do you guys, and we've had this question before, so I think this is a new listener. What do you guys think of analytics, and will it improve our team's performance?
I'll let Mike take this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to start with Mike, actually.
Oh, God. Analytics. Who asked the question?
Johnny.
Hey, Johnny. Analytics, man. I was just looking at the clock thinking how much longer we had to go. And if we're going to start talking analytics, it could be much longer than that. Man, you talk about a pet peeve. You talk about everything that I think is wrong with the sport today. It's analytics. Do I think it can make your team better? No, I don't. I think that the sample size in football is way too small, and the cost of a loss is way too high. Analytics in baseball works, and it makes sense. And I get it there. And I understand playing the odds over 182 games. You'll win more than you lose. It's kind of, we play poker here, kind of the same theory as game theory. So I completely understand that. In a 17-game season, whatever it is now, it doesn't work. When you're going into the book says I should not kick a field goal here. So that book is telling you that over 1,000 game sample, you'll be better off if you don't kick the field goal there. That's what analytics essentially is. I'm probably oversimplifying that a little bit. But over 1,000 game sample means nothing in football. In 1,000 games, the whole fan base will be dead. There's not... If not kicking you that field goal loses you that game, and you say, oh, well, it'll win more than it'll lose over time, that doesn't help you make the playoffs that year. It just doesn't. So, yeah, I don't think that level of analytics belongs in football at all. If you're a new listener, you need to check back in a couple episodes where we're talking about the AWS assault on football, the perfect schedule and all that garbage, and the catch percentage when the ball's in the air. It's trying to reduce football players to statistics, and they're not that. The catch percentage when the ball in the air is different for Jordan Jefferson than it was for David Tyree, right? It's not the same. And you can't just put one number on a ball at a certain hitting a peak with a receiver this far downfield with a defender this close to him. It just doesn't. It's different for every player, and it's different for every situation. And the other thing analytics never takes into account is, I've heard, the Giants getting pushed around all day. And they end a promising drive with a field goal. And I go online and I see everyone bitching about them kicking that field goal. You got to take the circumstances of the game into mind. Analytics does not do that at all. It doesn't take injuries into mind. Just say the Giants are playing a game. They lost their their two best offensive linemen during the game. Late in the game, analytics might say go for it on 4th and 2, but you don't have your two best offensive linemen on the field at that point. So that's just all the reason. That's not all of them. That's a sampling of the reasons I flippin' hate analytics and its role in this, how it's gotten into this sport. I don't understand. It should be being run by mathematicians who understand that 17 games is not a big enough sample.
Novak?
Well, I used my pet peeve last week was about analytics, because now they're using analytics to decide how much rest you need between practice. That's what Aaron Glenn said. Like we had a very hard practice on Friday, and analytics say they need a day of rest. A day of rest? Get the hell out of here. These are men. What are we talking about?
No.
So, I totally agree with Mike. I hate analytics, especially when it never takes into account, analytics says, we used to use this with the Giants all the time. Analytics says for the Giants to go for it. What analytics doesn't say is how sucky the Giants offense was.
Yeah.
So, right? I mean, sure, if you put the Kansas City Chiefs out there, it says go for it. But we're talking about the Giants against, the Eagles. They're not going to get a first down.
Yeah.
What Mike said about baseball is exactly right. If you look, first off, there's two things about baseball. First off, a baseball season is the equivalent of 10 NFL seasons. Mm-hmm. So you're accumulating enough data there in 10 seasons that the NFL doesn't have. Second off, you have very concrete things in baseball. There's a pitcher, there's a catcher. There's only like a certain number of things that can happen on each play. In football, you have 11 guys operating independently. So even if you try to analyze what the offensive line is doing, you don't know what the defensive line is doing, what the right guard is doing versus the defensive tackle. You don't know what the cornerback's doing versus the wide receiver. You don't know any of this stuff. And those 11-on-11 matchups not only make it more difficult from a standpoint of analysis, it exponentially ratchets it up to the point of infinity of where the number of permutations are that can happen. And that's always been my biggest problem, is that analytics is looked at by what I will say stat geeks as being a way that they can easily quantify the game of football. And that's why I've referred to it on past pods as stat porn. That's really what it is. The advanced statistics you hear, or the next gen statistics, all that is stat porn. There's nothing there that's useful. I'll give a good example here. Think about Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt, coming out of college, from an analytics standpoint, was a can't-miss receiver who had all the measurables possible. A Cowboy coach said, "You can't run routes." To which Jalen Hyatt said, "I can run routes. I'll show you." Well, it turns out he can't run routes. Analytics doesn't tell you can't run routes. Analytics talks about your catch radius, this, that, how much separation you get. It doesn't tell you how crisp you are in running your routes or not. Now, maybe you can try and parse that data from the amount of separation you get and things like that. But either way, he was looked at as a can't-miss receiver coming out of college, and people were dead wrong about it because the guy can't run routes. And that's just one thing analytics can't do. There's a ton of them out there. And it just bothers me that people try to boil the game of football down into some easy mathematical formula. I want to ask the analytics people, which formula told you the Seahawks were going to win the Super Bowl last year? Because going into the season, the Seahawks are basically what the Giants are now. No one thought they'd do anything. They had Sam Darnold coming in as their quarterback. Their coach left. DK Metcalf left. Who was saying the Seahawks are going to compete, let alone win that division and win the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Not one person outside of the state of Washington. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I first started hearing about analytics, one of the first questions I had about it was about the competition level, too. I didn't mention that in my diatribe there, but the competition level matters. I mean, analytics would tell the 2022 New York Giants to go for it on 4th and 3, down by 3 to the 86 Bears. It would say that. It would say you should go here. It just has no place here. And Scott said it best, and I'm going to steal that, Scott, for future diatribes. That's exactly what it is. It's people trying to simplify the game. And listen, just so people know, if this is your first time hearing me go off on this, I freaking love statistics. I love the idea of analytics. I mean, it's pretty much what I spend all day at my job doing, is trying to use analytics to predict things. I love it. I absolutely love it. It has no place here.
Yeah. And I'll give you another example here, too. When you talk about analytics, all analytics is studying the opponent. And what has people done since Vince Lombardi to Parcells to every other good coach? Film study. What analytics is trying to parse out are tendencies. And that's exactly what film study does, tendencies. Now, where AI may be able to help in the future is boil down those tendencies a lot easier, so you don't have to sit through hours of film.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where it helps the game. But that's AI. That's not, to me, analytics. That's a different thing altogether. That's not statistics. That is AI saying, here's what so-and-so did 75% of the time.
I will say right now, if there's teams in this league that aren't already using AI to study tendencies and things like that, then they are behind because it's being done, guaranteed.
Yep, and it should.
Yes, it should. It belongs.
Yes.
It absolutely belongs.
So my friend Mike asks a couple questions. He said, what have we heard about guys that we passed on in the first round for the Jets and the Giants? And what are they doing in camp? So like Styles and Downs. I've heard Downs is having a hell of a camp for the Cowboys. I've heard he's hitting people. Heard there's been a couple of fights going on. I haven't heard anything about Styles. Other than that, I will say this too. I didn't mention it during the camp part. Arvell Reese is apparently having a great camp for the Giants. He's all over the place. He's being used in a lot of different packages. Novak mentioned Bailey, who they took, and I think Bailey is a solid choice for the Jets.
The only one that I've heard anything on, and this is a good thing for the Jets because they did pass, is was it Mekhi Lemon? Is that the guy?
Yeah, Lemon.
He's hurt already and apparently not playing well, and again, it's freaking camp. Guy might turn out to be, Jerry Rice for all I know. But so far, he's apparently injury prone, like they were worried about, and he's not played well in camp. So good for the Jets.
And was this urban legend, or did I hear that right now Kirk Cousins is the starter for the Raiders?
He is.
I think you guys said that last week because I didn't even know he was on the Raiders.
Yeah, so I mean that can't be a shining endorsement of Fernando Mendoza's been doing, but I haven't heard that he's been doing a bad job. I just heard that Cousins is likely to start. So
I actually think there's a couple schools of thought there. I could see giving Mendoza a couple games or half a season to get his feet underneath him. We bantered about this last year about Dart. When's he going to actually play? And I think most of us said like week 10. We were off by a lot.
We should have known better.
Yeah, with the way it was handled last year at Dayball, it was like his little pet prize. Remember that? He would put him in for packages here and there. The stupidest times of the game. And you're going, what is he doing with this guy?
Just the most embarrassing.
It was. He handled him like it was such an embarrassment. That's a good thing he's gone.
We were so fooled by Dable. I wanted to like Dable so bad.
Yeah, that whole thing going. Remember running into the tent to check on his little buddy while his team was out playing?
Oh my God, come on. I think Novak called it then. It's over.
It's
over.
I did.
This
I
is
said
over.
it then. I was like, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Your team was on the field, and he's in the little blue tent checking on his buddy.
Yeah. Well, the offense is on the field.
And you don't know how it'll turn out under Harbaugh, but I think under Harbaugh, he's the complete opposite of Dable in terms of professionalism. But the other part here is that I think both the Giants and Harbaugh got a fresh start here. That's the thing I'm most looking forward to.
But the great thing that you have with Harbaugh, he's going to do nothing, I don't think, to embarrass you. Nothing. No. Nothing off the field, nothing in the press room, nothing on the field. He's just going to be. I mean, and that's exactly what you want. He's not going to put his foot in his mouth. He's not going to berate a player. He's not going to, any of that stuff. And that's what Daboll, remember, used to berate Daniel Jones on the dress him down on the sidelines, and he's chasing around his little buddy Dart everywhere, and he's saying stupid things, and he's getting angry at reporters. You don't have to worry about any of that.
Well, we didn't mention this in the Vikings game preview, but if you guys remember, one of the legacies of Harbaugh in Baltimore was that they very rarely lost a preseason game.
That's true.
Didn't they have a streak of 21 games or something?
Yeah, you're right about that. They did. We used to pick on it. We used to be like, what's he doing?
I think once Poe tore his ACL, that was when the streak ended.
Streak, yep.
Of course. Can't go into action without Poe.
Mike also asks, should the Giants sign Terrion Arnold, even with the legal issues? So he's the cornerback that was playing, I think it was for Detroit. He got released. He's had a couple of legal things going on. I think it was assault or domestic abuse. And what I think about when I see stories like this is that you have to fully vet what's going on. We only get snippets as fans. We don't know what's actually happening. If this is a serious offense, I would not sign the guy because you never know what's going to happen. And I mean, even guys we drafted like DeAndre Baker didn't have anything that actually was outwardly happening in college, but once he got to be a Giant, there were certain legal things that he got into. And I will always err on the side of caution with players like this because if there's smoke a lot of times, there's fire.
Yeah. These things, I know that's always a popular thing, but these things rarely turn out well. Some team takes a flyer on a guy with troubles. I mean, the book of people who have just gone to the new team and been awesome is a very short book.
You know where he's going, right?
Probably
Where?
Dallas.
No, he's going to Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Well, yeah, Kansas City.
That's the only team that could get away with it because they're all, he's going to go to the great Kansas City Chiefs and rehabilitate himself and under the wing of Andy Reid and like all those other convicts they have over there.
Maybe the Browns will give him a fortune.
Well, the Browns is another one too. It's true. I forgot about them.
Now we got a comment coming in that first season Daboll was great. Then he seemed to lose his composure season 2 after that, and I do think that that's part of it. I also think that they knew how to use Daniel Jones one season, and then after that Daniel Jones got hurt. There was inconsistencies, and they never truly fixed the offensive line until the very end. But
Yeah, I mean, Daboll was going to be tied to Jones. I know that's not completely his fault. And, if you've not been listening for a while, we are not Jones haters around here. We did like Daniel Jones and thought he got a little bit of a raw deal. Now, if you want to complain about he's injured too often, that's a conversation we can have. But when he played, he was usually pretty good. And small things that got overlooked for other quarterbacks were he was getting pounded for because people just wanted to hate him. I think he proved that a little bit last year at the beginning of the season with Indy. When he's healthy and when he's protected, he's a pretty damn good quarterback. And his legs and his speed are underrated. They will bite you if you don't pay attention to it on every play. But it's hard to have a guy like that run because he can't stay healthy. But I like Cheapak's comment about seemed to lose his composure. I think that's spot on. I think especially after his first season, he thought he was in for a lot of winning. And when the winning didn't come, he lost his composure. He's a front runner, I think, is exactly that. I think he's a guy who knows how to win, but when it doesn't work, he has no idea how to handle that.
And I wish we had Cardone here for J-Dub's question.
I saw that question. So good question. I really wish you were here on this.
Thoughts on Slayton at wide receiver 2? So, I think Slayton is probably best suited for wide receiver 2 right now. Darnell Mooney has supposedly struggled in camp a little bit. I think Malachi Fields is the guy who's ultimately going to do that. He's looked pretty good so far. But Slayton, the guy is just consistent. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get a good play. You're going to get a drop. I actually wouldn't mind it. I think, though, if you bring Mooney in, why did you bring him in if he's not going to be wide receiver 2? Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my feelings on that too. And I like Slayton. His production has never been, a lot of times his production seems better. And then you go and you look at his stats through like 6 games. You're like, this guy's done nothing. He's had 18 catches. But he has had some big catches for us, but yeah, if our usual co-host was with us today, Cardone, he would be saying, why is this guy still on our roster? That's what
he'd throw a few F-bombs in too.
Yeah, so there'd be like 2 F-bombs in there. Yeah,
I would love to go back and look at this live stream and see. We probably maybe threw 5 F-bombs in the whole thing.
Yeah, Cardone's the pace setter. He fires us up too.
Slayton, by the way, Slayton is just way overpaid. That's at the end of the day. He is not a 2. I think he's a 3, and he's way overpaid.
He is overpaid, but if you cut Slayton this year, you take a cap hit next year, and I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can cut him based on the financials.
Yep.
So, you guys got anything else tonight?
I do have a quick one, only because so we have a new listener, not on the chat here, but so quick story. So my daughter's friend moved to New York, and she said, I need to pick a team. I've only watched college my whole life, and I'm going to pick the Jets because
What?
Well, hold on. Let me tell you what I'm talking to her right now. And so, Rebecca, what I'm going to tell you is, don't do this to yourself. Trust me. You have the Giants as a choice. You have a chance to pick an actual freaking great organization, or the losers that I have with the Jets. All that said, if you become a Jets fan and we finally do win, we would love to have you as part of Jet Kingdom. So that's your choice. Good luck if you do try to choose the Jets. You will get made fun of. You'll get laughed at. You'll get picked on. But, hey, if you can withstand that and they end up winning, it's going to be the greatest feeling ever. Ain't that right, guys? You know what it's like to win a Super Bowl. I sadly do not.
It's pretty awesome. And we've talked on this pod a lot about how even through these last, decade and a half or whatever it's been of complete misery, at least we have that. And, it seems a little selfish sometimes to complain about being a team who's been to 5 Super Bowls and won 4 of them, who's won one in 4 consecutive decades. It seems a little selfish and crybaby to get too upset about this sometimes, to me anyway. And we have seen 4 in our lifetimes. I mean, they happened for all of us, Cardone included, while we were like fans of football, teenagers, and from then on. So even like fans of Dallas and Pittsburgh, there's not many who can claim that they've seen them all. So sometimes I feel a little greedy because I do want more, but that's what happens when you get one. You want more.
Well, I like what you just – go ahead.
I was going to say, well, you hear that, and just let me contradict that with what I have. 11 straight losing seasons, 16 seasons without a playoff berth, 23 seasons without winning the division, and 55 years without winning a Super Bowl. So beat that. Hold my beer.
Well, I'll definitely a hold my beer moment.
Yeah, no doubt.
We got the Knicks, though, Novak.
Yeah, I do.
I'll pile on to what Mike said earlier, too, and that's, if I was thinking back to that podcast from the Giant Insider that had Bobby Johnson on there, and one of the hosts, the co-host, was like 3 or 4 when that 1986 Super Bowl happened. And I am fortunate enough and old enough apparently that I was a teenager. I was enjoying football at that time. I have been able to enjoy all 4 of the Giants Super Bowls. I remember the Bobby Johnson 4th and 17 play. I remember Bobby Johnson, Lionel Manuel, Stacy Robinson, those guys being the receivers that year. Yeah. I enjoy the fact that I've been able to take all 4 of our Super Bowl wins and 1 loss and be able to have enjoyed that as part of my adult experience.
Well, who's the only team to have won a Super Bowl in 4 different decades?
The Giants.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
consecutive decades running.
We still have 4 years left. Well,
we only have 4.
3.
We only have 3 years. Oh my God!
3 years left.
That's gonna break. I knew it would break in my lifetime. A nice 40-year run.
So I do think, guys, I think we've had a successful live pod. We've had some interaction on the chat. We appreciate the interaction. I know we can stream now, so that's a good thing. Now we're only going to improve from here.
I love, by the way, thank you to the people that were on there asking questions. That was great to have live questions versus one that we get. It's kind of fun to do it on the fly. So if you have friends that listen, encourage them to do that. That was awesome. I loved that.
There was no Peacock Corner tonight, by the way, either. So it's glad we were supplementing.
Yeah, we had some supplemental questions. Yeah. I would even like to thank our friend Red Ninja who jumped in at 10 o'clock to say, what is this? We appreciate that kind of interaction. I mean, that's fine, man. Nothing wrong with that.
Do we have to define what this is?
I don't know.
I didn't know. I didn't know how to answer it.
I was worried about Lowe coming in here and crapping all over me, but it didn't happen. So that's a good thing.
There's probably a chat on YouTube too. We'll have to go scour the chats.
Actually, it should port over. That's the good thing about Riverside is that it should port over all the questions from either Facebook or
okay,
or
cool.
YouTube.
I thought we were just seeing the ones from people viewing on Riverside.
Matter of fact,
cool.
almost all the ones I'm seeing coming through are YouTube. So I don't even. Well, it's on my personal page on Facebook. I don't know how many people actually follow me. So, we are the Three Angry Giant Fans of the Jet Fan Podcast. We'll be back next week. We'll break down the preseason games 1, and we'll look at week 2. But very, very happy this year in season 7 to be doing this, and we love the support we've gotten. We love doing it.
September 2nd.
September 2nd live show.
6:00. Be there if you're in Matthews or Charlotte.
Or surrounding. You can come. We'll let you in if you come from somewhere else.
Absolutely. Come from wherever.
All right, fellas. We'll talk to you later.
See you.